The rehabilitation of Syria following 14 years of a bloody war is estimated at about $500 billion. The new regime in Syria obviously is looking at Saudi Arabia as a major source of funding and support. Indeed, Saudi Arabia has expressed its willingness to take part in the rehabilitation of Syria. Recently, a huge delegation of Saudi businessmen visited Damascus. And Saudi Arabia and Syria signed recently agreements in a total value of some $6 billion, covering a wide array of topics: energy, health, agriculture, and so on. At the same time, the Saudis have sent a very subtle message to the new regime in Syria following the bloody events in the south part of Syria recently between Druze and Bedouins, events that have been also including participation of the Syrian regime forces. The Saudi message to the new regime in Syria is that the regime must restrain those elements within the regime affiliated with Salafi jihadi movements, and make sure that those elements will not be able to dictate the trajectory of Syria ahead. The Saudis' concern is not so much about the situation in the south part of Syria per se, but mostly due to the fact that the Salafi jihadist movement partially has been to a large extent inspired by the ultra-radical, ultra-conservative Wahhabi ideology that was originated in Saudi Arabia. In fact, major Salafi jihadist groups view the Saudi monarchy as one of their major enemies, and they vow to topple down that monarchy. So you can see that the Saudi concern about the situation in Syria basically, in the end of the day, aims to prevent a situation where potentially Salafi jihadi groups that are operating within the current Syrian regime will take advantage of the situation to increase their influence, and that, through the Saudi perspective at least, could result in a growing threat and source of a threat to the Saudis themselves. So hence you see that at the same time the Saudis are willingly participating and are willing to significantly increase their participation in the rehabilitation of Syria, at the same time they expect the Syrian regime to pay the dues and the fees. And one of the most significant things that the Saudis are expecting from the new regime in Syria is to restrain those Salafi jihadist elements that, reminding you, are part and parcel of that new regime in Syria.